Okay, again, this is top of page Excel 126, file 5-5. It asks us to save it as paper. So we'll do a save as real quick. I've zoomed in a little just to kind of help us out. And let's see, So it starts off with simple doing calculating sales for each month in each of the month sheets. So in letter B, so I'm going to go to B10. It says calculate sales. We're just adding. So I'm just coming up. I can just actually, I don't even have to go to formulas for this one. I could just go right to my home toolbar and go to AutoSum, and it's going to recognize total sales, and I'm just going to hit enter. Next, I'm going to February. I'm going to click in the sales tab. I'm going to just go to AutoSum. Oops, I need to click back in it. And I'm going to hit enter. And go to March, AutoSum, enter. All right, I'm just going to save since I'm done with that step. In letter C, for each month in cell 5, create a formula calculating the percent of sales. Use a display incorrect if there's a mistake. Verify to 2 decimal places. If anything displays incorrect, fix the formula cell. So this one's trying to trick us a little bit into using the absolute formula. So I'm going to go to formulas this time, and I'm going to do if error. And I'm in C5. I'm going to do if error. And so I'm taking this, the amount of sales, divided by January sales. But we know if we fill that down, it's going to divide by 0. So I'm going to click in this B10, just in this toolbox, and hit F4. And that's F4 on the keyboard. Some people got confused wanting to type in F4 versus hitting the keyboard. So when I hit F4, you should see this as B, $B, $10. And if error, it wants us to have the word incorrect. So then I'm going to select OK. And I'm just going to fill down. And I have my percent of sales done. We're going to repeat the same process in each one. Hey, we're recording, so just chill. You can watch the video. I'm going to go ahead and select February. I'm going to repeat the same process. So I'm just going back to logical. If error, I'm going to click B5, divided by sign. I'm going to select B10. I'm going to click in B10 and just hit F4. If there's an error, it's going to display incorrect. And I'm just going to use my fill handle to copy it down. I'm going to move to March. Again, repeat the same thing. Logical. If error, B5 divided by B10. I'm going to put in F4 to create absolute. If there's an error, we hit incorrect. And again, I'm just filling down. Let's save right there. And then I move into D, and this is the one that gets everybody thrown for a little bit. So go to your summary sheet. In column B of the summary sheet, use formulas to total the sales categories for January, February, and March worksheets. So this is where everybody gets kind of lost. So I'm just going to hit equals, or actually I could do a sum, and I'm just going to use auto sum, and I'm in the formulas toolbar. And then I need the equipment from January, February, and March. So I can just hit January. I'm going to click the sales in B5, and this is where everybody gets goofed up. I'm just going to hold down Shift and hit March. And you should see it selected January, February, and March. And if you guys look in the, up here in my formula, it says January :March, so it's grabbing all that from 5. And the mistake I always make is I want to click back to where I started the formula, and that screws it all up. So you're going to hit the check mark or enter sign, and then it should kick you back to the summary one, and now it has a total. This one doesn't have to be repeated. This will work with the fill handle. So I can come and go ahead and fill those. And then it wants us to go ahead and calculate the totals. And then in E and then F, calculate the percentage just like we did before. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm just going to use auto sum, get my total sales. And percent of sales, just going to be equals. Actually, let's do if error. It wants us to use if error again. So if error, so this is going to be B5 divided by B10, except we're going to switch the B10 to absolute. And if error, this one wants us to have the word miscalculation. Then I'm going to go ahead and fill down to get my percent of sales over the course of these 3 months. On letter H, I'm still on page 126. We need to switch to the products tab. So make sure you're on the right tab, and I'm going to select A1. And we're going to use a feature we haven't really used, so I switched to the Data tab, even though we've been mostly working in formulas. So make sure you're in the Data tab. And I'm going to use this Text to Columns feature. And again, I'm in the Data tab. And then I want to change this to be delimited, and then change this to say comma. In other words, it recognizes you have a list with commas in it, and it's going to convert it to text. And then I'm going to hit Next. Then you should see that it essentially is going to put these each in its own column. Next, I'm going to come down to A1, or excuse me, A2, and we want to go into formulas this time and go to text, and we're going to scroll down here to get uppercase, and then just select these because we want each of these in uppercase. So I'm going to go ahead, select OK, and now I can just drag this to the right, and it's going to uppercase everything. So a lot of times if you get a report with stuff in a comma, it's all in one cell, this is how you can turn it into one item. So from there, go ahead and save. And this concludes Independent Challenge 2.